Welcome to the Big Biz Show.
Taking care of business.
You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, big old Happy New Year to ya. Back in the saddle, as they say, from the Loft 100 Studios, sunny Southern California. Costa, Mary Bird Godwin, Greg Todorov, our executive producer, Sully.
And let us not forget the DTT, the Day Trader Trio's with us today.
Best in the business.
You guys have a good New Year? Yeah?
Absolutely.
That is, with me there, we have 40% of Sullivan.
Yes.
And we got some exciting news about tours this year.
I know. The poster, the lineup for the Beach Life Festival is out now.
When is that, May, March?
May 2nd is when Sullivan's performing the same.
With
Shut
Lenny
the front
Kravitz.
door.
Lenny
Really?
Kravitz
Ooh.
and Diggable Planets.
Diggable
for
Planets?
the old school.
No way.
Yes. It's a really great
311?
lineup.
I am in.
311?
311. You know, Nick Hexum was at the Christmas party. Did you meet him?
No.
He was at the house Christmas party.
I fell
Nick
into
Hexum,
the
the lead
vineyard
singer.
like an hour in. I was so hammered, I just fell over your bank and
Yep.
crushed a bunch of wine.
Just got back, but we're very excited. Had a discussion with Rome, who had played his last show with Sublime. He's out of his contract after 25 years and now going on tour. And guess who may be?
Hello.
So you guys want to pitch in for your own flights and stuff, but we may be going on tour. So as we are into our second program of the new year, we'll get to Howie in a second. But two things. Did you do New Year's goals, resolutions this year?
I did not.
You didn't? Do you
Isn't that
normally?
funny? Sometimes I do. Yeah.
What about you, Mary? Do you?
I did not. There's too much
By the
going
way,
on in my
congratulations
life.
on 9 years
Hey,
of sobriety.
Thank you very much.
Wow. Yeah.
January 1, 9 consecutive.
Because Mike's been sober for what, 70 days?
9 minutes.
Not in a row.
Non-consecutive.
No,
Total.
exactly.
Oh, mine
Exactly.
is
Did you? So did you make?
I did.
What did you do? Well, none of our business.
No. I have written a children's book, and
Are you serious?
Swear to God.
Awesome.
And I, in the process of now trying to get it published.
What is it called?
Big Blue Lou.
Big Blue
It's
Lou.
about a big blue rhinoceros who doesn't fit in.
I had no idea that you had that sort of creativity in you.
It's
You just
been
thought you were Funyun eating bacon bits, dipping mayo.
99.9% of the time I am, but there's those moments of clarity where you're like, wait, I've got a story to tell.
So what's the premise?
It's about a big blue rhino he's born the wrong color, and he thinks that he's going to be alone the rest of his life, and then he goes about the jungles in Africa, and he finds other animals who are also born the wrong color.
So it's part of your New Year's goals is
To get it published, yes.
What's his name?
I think I
Big
can
Blue
help you with
Lou?
Big Blue Lou.
Love
I like
it.
I can help you with that.
Love it.
I know you
Yes.
I think Chris Castillo, one of our producers here, is probably looking at Blue Rhino as the car care company who's going to be suing Mike about 6 months or trademark. Big purple blue.
They're actually a propane company.
That's what it is. Blue Rhino's propane company.
That's funny.
This is how Mike names the thing after a gas company.
It's about a rhino that had gas.
I put down. This is both inspiring to me and sad to me, because I put down goals every year. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I tend to complete all of them every single year. And every year, here's the sad part. I mean, I get all my stuff. Literally, I make realistic goals. Okay. The problem is I have the same goal, the one I didn't get. This goes back to 2019.
Little carryover.
Yep.
Can you tell us what it is?
It's a tough one.
Yes, it is kite surfing.
Ooh.
Oh.
So, Greg and I enjoy surfing, and are going to take a couple of trips this year, not only to Zihuatanejo, to Cabo, and to potentially, if I could get him, he will never go to Dubai, but there's a surf ranch in Dubai. But we are going to Palm Springs, and we should all go together. But kite surfing, so I was a competitive sailor for a long time. I've sailed to Hawaii twice.
Same thing.
Wow.
I would like to learn, because I know that I would like to learn to use that.
Yeah.
It looks
Parachute.
super fun,
Doesn't
but
it?
it just looks complicated.
Complicated.
There's lots of wires.
There's a lot, exactly. That's my point. Yep.
This program brought to you by Blue Rhino Propane. Also, look for Big Blue Rhino U.
wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, it is the Big Biz Show. We're rolling on. Another beautiful week here in sunny Southern California. Very fun time inside the Loft 100 studios. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. I am Costa. The lady to my right is Mary Bert Godwin. Greg Pomeroy is our executive producer. That is Sully behind the bar, and of course, the best in the business. The DTT, and there's the Blue Rhino.
Not only made fun of because he was the wrong color, but his horn's been on fire since he was born.
Right.
Careful of that spark. Boom. I think you got something there.
Might have to do story time with Mike.
Yeah,
sure.
Oh, boy,
Bring that book in and read
that would
it to
not be
us.
creepy at all.
Like
Take us
that.
back to a gentler time, Mike.
Yeah.
When did this idea come about?
This is easily.
If you're just joining us, Mike said
9 or
his
10 years.
goals for 2025 is to finish his children's book called Big Blue Lou,
Yeah.
which is about a blue rhino. We thought, well, maybe there's a trademark infringement because of blue rhino propane. Of course, Mike writes a book about a rhino,
Yes.
and
Because rhinos are my favorite animal in the world.
well, and plus you're
Yeah.
from a big boned
Kinda
tribe.
built like one.
You're from a big boned tribe.
Yep. Yep.
Those blue rhino is a gas
Horns been cut off.
company.
Yeah. But it was just it's been there, and then one day I finally said, okay, jerk, give up the dream or sit down and do something.
Okay, so you got
like
the
it.
plane taken off. You can fly the plane. How you? So what's
Yeah.
the story? So it's about a big blue rhino that's made fun of because he's the wrong color,
Yes.
and it's going to teach that it's okay.
And he thinks he's going to just grow up by himself, lonely. And then there's a kid.
Mike?
What's up? No, there's a kid who grows up as an orphan in Africa.
Okay.
Who's then he's allowed to go and live on his own because he's a grown man.
What's on page 2?
And they and they bump into each other. And then he goes to live with the guy who owns the game preserve in Africa.
Lost my will to live.
And he's also got anyhow.
I'm already.
Hey, yeah, I'm
Really good.
I'm saying for the publisher
Really good,
pitch,
yeah.
I love it. But publisher pitch me. 10, 20, 30, 10 pages, 20-point type, 30-minute presentation.
That's right.
If you're ever going to do a pitch deck,
Yes.
or it's called a PowerPoint, and I'll say this for the first time I have ever said this in public.
Yes.
When I was first cutting my teeth into the investment banking world, I did it because I was raising money for private companies through venture capital. And they'd come up with these 300-page business plans. And I got to know the gals at the front up in Menlo Park that would have to check in these business plans before they circulated through the office to see who was going to invest it. I said, what do I have to do to get my stuff to pop up faster? They said, if you did it in color and made it like 16 pages, I believe that my company was the first company to create what is now called a deck. Although we had no idea what we were doing. But I think because we went from 300-page business plans, I hired an art department. I spent $2,500 on 2 color printers, which you can buy for $86 now.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Art department, writing department. It was interesting. So, hey, listen, Howie Font is here to talk about this Trump bump, interest rates. So Howie, so the 10-year Treasury are up. 10-year is scary because mortgage rates are nearing 8% again. I thought this was going in the other direction, pal. What's going on?
Jeez.
Well, just before that, I'm filling out my 2025 bingo card. I did not think Mike's treatise on racial tensions was going to make it, but that's an easy win for the beginning of the year.
Fantastic.
Wonderful. Yeah, interest rates. What are those again?
So, well, I thought we were going in the other direction. Is mortgage rates up to 8% again? I thought we were going back down to the 2s.
So listen, this is almost without precedent. Usually, we talk about
We've been without precedent for about 6 months now.
Jekyll Island, and
Sorry,
we
say
have
that.
this whole-
Say, I interrupted. Say that again now.
No,
Without
no.
precedent, what happened now?
Almost without precedent, this hasn't happened. Usually, when we talk about interest rates, I talk about what happened at the Fed meeting. You talk about the creature of Jekyll Island, how the Fed's big and bad. And that's because when the Fed does something, the market follows it. It's such a huge force in the economy that when they issue new rates, all other rates follow. Well, now that's not happening. There's only one time this has happened for a very brief period of time, and that was in 1998 during the dot-com bubble. But right now, we see the Fed lowering by 25 basis points and the long bond, the 10-year, going up 110 basis points.
Which basically tracks mortgage rates, is long bond.
Yep, that's right. And mortgage rates are following, and they're
Well, Howie, before you tell us why, Let me bring up a graphic for you.
Yeah.
This will tell you exactly why. Oh, look it's the debt. It's the U.S. debt clock.
Not this again.
Howie, is this all happening because what?
Yeah.
Because we're pushing back on the Fed because we don't think we can pay that much debt back? Is that the idea?
I was trying to avoid the debt speech for one show, or at least wait until the second show of the year. But no, that's exactly right. I mean, what's going to happen is we're going to keep issuing debt. We're going to issue new treasury bills, which is what we're looking at here, all of the obligations that we have as a country. And at some point, people are going to say, I'm not buying it. You're going to have to pay me 10%, or you're going to have to pay me 15%. And we've been at rates that high in the 80s.
Have we ever seen rates moving so in antithesis or so opposite to Fed rates? Has that ever even happened before at this level?
No, not at this level, not at this scale, nothing like it. Germany tried something. Germany tried issuing negative rate bonds, so they wanted to issue debt and then give you less money than you gave them at the end of the debt. It was 10 years. It seems very, very silly. They had to buy it back because they didn't have enough buyers. Imagine that. I mean, what kind of investment?
Well, wait. So that brings the word failed auction into parlance.
Right.
So a failed auction would prove that the Fed has been wrong and the economy is a much deeper problem than we anticipated, right?
It would. It would say, hey, we do not think that the U.S. economy is strong enough to pay for what the Congress is spending, not enough to pay down the debt, and we don't have any belief that this is actually real and you can handle any more. So start paying down the debt.
Howie,
is signal that will be sent.
Have you seen any sort of movement within the market or actually with people, your cohorts that you talk with, about what Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to do with Doge when they get in, and if there's going to be any sort of effect positive?
Any sort of teeth is what you're asking, right?
Yeah.
Will this have any teeth to it, or is this?
I think there's a lot of skepticism because there's only three things really. I mean, there's a lot of discretionary stuff. There's a lot of meat there for good political headlines, and we're going to see things like, NIH funded treadmill for shrimp is and for monkeys is defunded. Country saved $17 million.
Yeah.
That'll happen a lot. But if you're not cutting defense, if you're not.
But Howie, listen, I agree with you. I agree, but those are altruistic. Let me tell you what people care about. Okay.
Yeah.
Paying their mortgage. Mm-hmm. Saving for retirement. Putting their kids through college. Those are the top three things that most working individuals that have children think about. And then once they get to figure out that the $250,000 it's going to take to put your kid through college, there may be another story here. The number one thing that this administration can do to resolve some issues here, because inflation is going to be, we've got inflation fatigue at this point, but we're used to it. These mortgage rates have got to come down because that's going to be that's the final tipping point, is it not? Because people are going to lose their houses pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about interest rates for fun here, guys. I know I harp on it a lot, but you just said groceries, putting kids through college, and the mortgage. Well, interest rates, that's the mortgage. We were just talking about that. Student loans, that's interest rates. We were just talking about that. And inflation, which we've spoken on a lot about, and that's still... I mean, Trump bump, you can say all that, but core inflation is still at 3.3%.
Yeah, the market versus the economy, right?
That's right.
And so what do you think it's going to take, before the chat here today, what do you think it's going to take for us to get to the point where mortgage rates and long bond is going to get to something reasonable?
Well, I think Mike actually asked a really great question.
What?
And Jeff Bezos actually was asked the question just a couple of weeks ago, and his answer to what you both have said is, listen, that's altruistic to try and really reform the budget. What's really going to have to change about this ratio of growth to debt is the growth side. So if we start growing at 5%, if we can push the economy into hyperdrive, then more of this seems workable. We can eat up more of this debt. We can have more tax receipts come in, and we can keep the cycle going a little bit longer.
Is this on the top of Donald Trump's list, or at least as people in his economic forum? Is this something that you dug out of the back pages of Market Watch, or is this something that's actually front and center and I mean, I saw it in the headlines today, but are they?
No, I mean,
they need
I
to
think
attack
it's
this
pretty
quickly.
clear. Yeah, no, I think it's pretty clear that to get through this major growth is what's needed. I really hope that's not government funded growth. If you subsidize or simply cut taxes, cutting taxes is a little bit different because it has a little bit of a multiplier effect. But if we just pay for, new factories to open, that's not as good as actually organic growth. So I really hope that the reduction in regulation can incentives in some way can really get the economy moving, and that'll fix a lot of this problem.
God, I like when Howie's making fun better. People with mortgage, it's time to, I want to refinance.
Not anytime
I made at least $65 on my house. I want to pull 63 of it out. Let's roll. Big Biz, go. More to come. See you in a minute. Loft 100 Studios, The Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks if we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullygroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
It is the Big Biz Show. Loft 100 Studios, Southern California, having a great time. All right, thanks for being with us.
Nationwide, coast to coast. 125 million TV homes strong, and we just got our brand new contract signed by Bloomberg EU, Bloomberg El Financiero, Biz Television, American Life Network, and let's not forget American Forces Network in 175 countries and all the ships at sea. We are everywhere, every hour of every day. And we broadcast right out of sunny San Diego, California, Loft 100 Studios. Greg Tarnoff, our executive producer, Mary Bird Godwin, the financial little lady, as Mike likes to call her. I just hit a ball. I was golfing.
Pickleball?
I was golfing.
That's pretty good.
Pickleball.
Love it.
And Mike Costa, of course. Good to see you along. Dr. Jonathan Javitt, founder, director, chairman of the board of, and of course, chief scientific officer of NRX Pharmaceuticals, ticker symbol NRXP. One of my favorite people in the whole wide world, as well as a regular on the program, that introduced us to everything from akathisia to suicidality to ketamine over the course of last year. And it keeps on getting better and better. NRXpharma.com, once again, the ticker symbol NRXP. And you brought up the fact that there was a press release yesterday. And Jonathan,
Javitt,
welcome to the program.
Dr. Javitt.
Hey, Sully, how are you?
Great to see you, man.
A belated happy holidays and a happy New Year to you. Tell us, New Year's to you. Tell us about the big press release.
Well, a couple months ago, the board of the company asked me to step back in as CEO. And seemed like a good time to do that. So in the intervening couple months, we've tripled the value of the stock. And Monday announced that we've just brought in a new investor, highly respected family office, Smith & Sauer. Their background is in medical back office systems, and they're going to work with us on building a nationwide umbrella for Hope Therapeutics to make Hope Therapeutics the leading and really the first chain of medical facilities, of outpatient clinics focused on suicidal depression, PTSD, and enabling people to live productive lives. They're investing $25 million of acquisition capital that, combined with the banking relationships we've established, should give us the ability to do $100 million of clinic acquisition over the course of the next few months.
Amazing.
So it's been a pretty exciting week for us.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Javitt, I've got there's going to be emails that always happen after you come on the air with us. Talk to us about the relationship between NRX Pharmaceuticals and Hope. I know Hope is part of it, but talk about the bifurcation, because it's not all one company.
Well,
it's really two companies.
A week ago, NRX Pharmaceuticals owned all of Hope Therapeutics because we invented it. And now, as a result of this new investment, Smith & Sauer will own a third of Hope Therapeutics. And as clinics come on board, as clinics become part of Hope, they'll also be owners. So over time, NRX will go from owning 100% of a blueberry to hopefully a meaningful percentage of a watermelon.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. Hey, real quickly, can we talk about the release that came out today about how you and David Feifel are going to present keynotes to, I think the name of the it's called Beyond.
The SACS Forum at the JP Morgan conference.
Yeah.
So, you and I have been talking since we met about the importance of ketamine and really the breakthrough that ketamine represents in reversing suicidal depression and PTSD within hours. But ketamine's not the whole story. You had a slide up just a few minutes ago showing the interplay between ketamine, transcranial magnetic stimulation, other forms of neuromodulation, because ketamine seems to give about a 50% response rate. It may be everything you need for some people, but part of what you need for other people. And the whole science behind Hope Therapeutics is to be able to take the results that Dr. Feifel's achieved, really as a global thought leader at the Kadima Clinic in La Jolla. And you've had Dr. Feifel on your show.
Sure.
You put him in your documentary, so you know all about the miracles that have been achieved at Kadima. And the objective of Hope is to make those miracles available worldwide.
The name of the company is NRX Pharmaceuticals, stock symbol NRXP. Dr. Jonathan Javitt, our guest, CEO of the company, as well as Chief Scientific Officer, Director, and really the man behind everything. What is the velocity of everything, in your opinion, in as much as you can talk about, because you're a CEO of a public company, or you can't share us everything. But for 2025, talk to us about the first half of the year, talk to us about the next 18 months.
Well, the most important part of 2025 is we're about to bring in a presidential administration that, among other things, is highly focused on the need to do something about suicide and veterans and troops. I fly for the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary, and just last month, the Commandant of the Coast Guard stood down the entire Coast Guard for 90 minutes to focus on suicide prevention and stress resilience.
That's amazing.
Dr. Javitt, can you... Oh, I'm sorry.
Over the last year, we lost 14 shipmates to suicide. Wow. We dangled people off of cables on helicopters above frigid waters. We didn't lose a single shipmate to Coast Guard operations. 14 people to suicide.
Wow.
And that's far less of a death toll than you're seeing in Army, Navy, and Air Force. They have even higher suicide rates. So this is a national crisis. And an American dies of suicide every 11 minutes. And everybody in this incoming administration has focused on the need to approve and deploy treatments to prevent needless suicide.
Dr. Javitt, you will be hosting a meeting at, I believe, Mar-a-Lago. Is that correct?
Well, I just talked to you about why the incoming administration cares about this. And, as a result, a member of Mar-a-Lago asked us if we'd come and do an investor workshop there for members of Mar-a-Lago.
Can you talk about who could attend and so on and so forth at this point, Jonathan? Or is this still in the phase of?
Well, at this point, it's too late for somebody to get Secret Service clearance to attend this week's investor workshop. But There will be one the week of January 28th, but I can already tell you, Sully, that there's no way the Secret Service is letting you in there.
Yeah, you knew that was going to come. Loft 100 Studios, the Big Biz Show, and our affiliates and our hosts are not registered investment advisors or broker-dealers.
Our show hosts make no commitment that the purchase of securities of companies profiled or otherwise mentioned in our programming
are suitable or advisable for any person, or that an investment in such securities will be profitable in general.
Given the nature of the company's profile and the lack of an active trading market for the securities, investing is highly speculative and carries a certain high degree of risk.
We profile selected publicly traded and privately held companies on our program.
Most of these companies that we profile have provided compensation to Loft 100 Studios and its hosts for the profile coverage.
From time to time, we sell shares of the companies profiled in the open market that we receive as compensation for coverage of client companies.
But never sell stocks. If we are speaking about interviewing or covering a public company who has paid compensation.
Specific questions on compensation can be obtained by contacting producer at sullyandgroup.com.
Listeners should verify all claims and do their own due diligence before investing in any securities mentioned on this program.
Investing in securities is speculative and carries a high degree of risk.
We encourage our investors to invest carefully and read the investor information available at the websites on the
Securities and Exchange Commission at sec.gov and or the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, at www.finra.org.
I like it.
Hey, is that a rescue plane?
Big Biz Show rolls on. We are inside the Loft 100 Studios in Southern California, as always. Appreciate you being along for the ride wherever you are watching, wherever you are listening. Costa sitting here, Mary Godwin sitting over there. Of course, Sully right there behind the bar, and our good buddy, CEO, coach, consultant, chief launch officer, keynote speaker, Dan Negroni.
A little bit of Campari, a little bit of gin, a little bit of soda, a little twist of orange. You got yourself a Negroni.
At the bar.
You call him Danny Negroni?
That's my name. Most people call me Danny.
Really?
Do you know that?
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
That is true.
What's going on,
What's
Dan?
happening now?
Yeah.
You and I have known each other for 25 years.
My God, a long time.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. And I remember when you were a mere attorney, and then you turned into a business development coach, then you turned into a keynote speaker, then you turned into a keynote, and the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then you wrote this book, of course, Chasing Relevance, which is
Now he's a
fantastic book that talks about.
It's antique now.
Yeah, well, because remember, Gen X was I beg your pardon, millennial was the word.
Yeah.
You know, and it's changed. Let's talk about what's going on in the world, because you are a management coach as well as a talent coach in that sort of age group. Where are we? Gen A again? Like, because we went millennial, X, Y, Z. Where are we now?
I think we're at beta.
Beta.
It is. Yeah.
But alpha is kind of the tweens and below, and then Gen Z are the people that are coming into the workplace, the 20-something-year-olds.
What does that look like for
20s.
those people right now?
I think it doesn't look great, but it doesn't look
What doesn't
horrible.
look great? Like the
I think
workplace or?
the workplace is having a challenge really dealing with them because they grew up with devices. It's a completely different world. They really weren't, they didn't learn to play by themselves.
Right.
They really need focused guides, and they need a lot of instruction, and they want to go very deep, and they don't have a lot of independent strategic thinking. And so it's a challenge for us old folks.
What that makes me think about is something that you brought up from the very first time we talked about this several years ago. It's not just about coaching the talent, it's about coaching the management to deal with the talent.
Yeah.
So here we are again.
Yeah.
So who's going to be tougher?
Well, it's interesting.
More malleable.
And it's interesting now because the millennials, right? I think the oldest of them born in 1980, so they're 45 already, right?
Now they're
old like us, right? They're bosses. So they're bosses of the Gen Zs, and so now they have to figure it out. And while they are similar in terms of technology, they're really not, because Gen Z was the first one with a phone that was a computer in their hand.
Right.
And so it's super, super different. It's super different in the classroom. It's super different in the workplace. And
what do you think it's harder on? Do you think it's harder on the management or it's harder on the kids coming up?
Yes.
That's a great answer.
Well, and Gen Z lived through COVID in school, so a lot of them.
Yeah, COVID's
it's
a game
screwed
changer.
up. I mean, I'm hearing all sorts of issues.
You have a delay in growing up or adulting from the device, and then you have COVID, which delayed it another 2 years.
Education,
so you have a blank show in
Yes.
the workplace. Yeah.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
How do we fix it?
How
I was
do
like,
we
are you
fix
coming
it?
to sit by me?
No, I was just cleaning up, because the kids aren't doing it.
I have that gene too.
Because the kids aren't doing it.
So when we were younger, getting up in the world, and you're the same age.
Yep.
It came down to a resume. It came down to some references. There was no job searches that, we got away with a lot more than you get away with now, because it's only so many places you can look.
Yeah,
God.
Right?
Well,
the talent search is a little bit different than it was when we were.
Yeah, and I think businesses are, one of the trends in the workplace today is that we were always looking for new blood to come in. And now, because we understand that new blood comes with so many challenges, we're looking within our workplace. And so we're looking at who can we take if we have 26,000 employees from one job and put them in another. And I used to have a client with 26,000 employees, and it was so hard for someone who worked there, who was getting put off a project, to actually get a job there. Yeah. And I think businesses now understand wait, these are known quantities. We should look. And so I think that's really changing at a big level. And another thing that's changing is really understanding that we got to get this right with Gen Zs, because they're here to stay.
And they're going to move up.
And they're moving up.
Well, you talk about something called management burnout busting. Talk about that.
Yeah, so I think COVID, hybrid work, DEI, over wokeness, over compensating.
Yeah, where is DEI going? Is DEI, was it a thing that peaked up like Oat Brand? Remember when Oat Brand was so healthy and now it went away?
I think the world is learning that DEI is how do we get along together, which is really always what it should have been. And so we're trying to be better at doing that with every age, color, religion, all those things, and I think we're better at it.
Well, the good news there is that we've assimilated that.
We are assimilating it as it goes on.
Okay.
And I think the burnout thing is we're burnt out from all of the things you just mentioned.
Yeah.
It sucks to be a manager. Like, it's hard work.
Can I ask you this? I loved.
You can ask me anything.
Okay, I can. I loved the holidays this year, when December 25th was a holiday and New Year's Day was a holiday. It was a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which makes us all think of the magic word 4-day work week.
Yeah.
And I'd say, I had another Sunday. It didn't feel like, well, tomorrow's Monday. It was.
I didn't know what day it was.
Yeah. For 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But that 4-day work week idea may be going the way of the dodo.
That's what they say, is that it's going away. And I think because hybrid work is so diverse. Now, there's a big call, right? Amazon, the first of the year, called everyone back and said, you will have a 5-day work week unless we don't have room for you in these different cities. But I think people want value in their workers. Sure. They want to get stuff done, and they do want to trust people. But there's so much that has happened that we're trying to figure out what are the tools we need. And the last trend that is how can we use AI?
Okay, well, wait, before we get to AI, wait a second though. I want to say something. We want more from our workers.
Yes.
Okay? And a 4-day work week would indicate 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yet we are working more than 8 hours a day as it is because of this right here and the availability.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk to you at midnight. I talk to you at 6 a.m.
Lucky them.
Exactly. What would be the push? See, here's my problem with because some people are fortunate, like Jason Berry. We just had a real estate professional. You guys. You could probably work your schedule so you could do a 4-day work week. The problem is nobody else. I want people to leave me alone like they leave me on Saturday, Sunday. That's when the whole thing works, is when they leave you alone on the Wednesday. Do you think it's a distant dream because of the big companies like Amazon and Apple and so on and so forth? And will it take them to initiate to get the rest of the world to kind of adhere? Because I think we're already at 10-hour work. We're at a 16-hour workday on and off.
I think every company is an individual. That's probably the biggest premise of DEI, and they're going to do their own thing, and what works in their culture is going to work.
You brought about AI, and let's overlay that to talent searches and such. Is that one of the reasons it's going to be a problem for younger people? Is because the development of AI, just like the development of the factory?
I think AI is going to be better for the managers, because the managers are going to get better learning tools. I think they're going to be able to coach through AI, so you're not going to have an individual coach that you pay lots of dough like me.
You think it's a positive thing?
I think it's a positive thing. Do you use it a lot?
You know what I just used it for is planning a trip. I'm going to take my girls out of town.
Yeah.
I put into ChatGPT, I said, I described our ages and our interests, and I said, these are the dates we're going. This is what we're interested in. We're not interested in this.
So you just went to the ChatGPT.
Itinerary.
So wait, so you just put ChatGPT and put keywords, and it said plan my itinerary.
I didn't put I literally wrote out, these are my daughters, this is what they like.
What do we do?
Plan an itinerary
And it gave you a spreadsheet.
We are going to see Billie Eilish at O2 in London on this date.
Wow.
And then do the rest. And it did it. It gave me an 8-day itinerary, where to go and everything.
So Dan,
so there's so many tools like that, and that's scratching the surface. That's like old people talk.
Yeah,
about
exactly.
AI.
Yeah.
By the way,
Wow, I just got put in my place. Okay.
Sorry, but there's so many tools like Perplexity for the next level searching. To use it, there's agentic AI. AI is going to change the way we work. Prompt engineering, where prompt engineering is what you did in ChatGPT. You prompted it with all the right information to give you what you needed. So there's so many terms, there's so many things going on, and yes, it will change the world. And yes, hopefully we can use it to coach them on themselves and on getting better information.
Is it getting rid of jobs?
But the point is because there's a fear there, like it was when the factory first came out, right? Or technology came out, it's going to take jobs. I think we're going to morph into it. I think you're absolutely right.
I think people need people, and service is always going to be there.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
People need people.
People need people.
I think there's a song about that.
Speaker, CEO, coach, consultant, chief launch officer.
Thanks, buddy.
Professor.
See you next week.
Check him out at dannegroni.com. More The Big Biz Show. Keep it here.
Oh my God.
It is the Big Biz Show. And if you say anything bad about it,
do we know any brothers Gibbs? Any BGs? So, I've got breaking news today. Final study completed for Cingulate's lead asset, CTX 1301. Of course, Cingulate, publicly traded company under the stock symbol CING. Of course, Shane Schaffer, a good friend of the program, chairman and CEO of Cingulate, Cingulate.com, dealing with ADHD. Thank you.
Good.
Shane, how are you, brother? Good to see you.
Very good. Don't forget. I mean, you know who we are.
Hey, listen, I'm his first compassionate case they come out with. Hey, can you talk, before we get into, for some of the people that don't know who you are and the company is, but there's an awful lot of people that are tuning in because I knew you were going to be on the air tonight. Talk about the fact that no serious adverse effects reported on your final study completed for your for CTX 1301. That is a big deal. This is a huge milestone for you guys as a biotech company. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, number one, just being completed with all of our clinical trial work. I mean, we've been in constant communication with the FDA for the last 5-6 years, about our clinical trial program. This is the final study, and it's now over. We have the capital in place to get us all the way through this year, to get the NDA submitted and filed. We'll have a lot of inflection points and milestones. But one of the things you said, Sully, is really important here. We've now had over nine clinical trials. And in every single one of those trials, we have either no or fewer side effects than any other product that's been on the market.
And Shane, as a reminder, the other products are things like first thing comes to mind is Cialis, probably not the right one. Different drug. Side effects.
That was initially a side effect, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. But we're talking about the Adderalls of the world, the Vyvances of the world, and so on and so forth. And this is for the people who are listening for the first time. You've come up with a drug that is, or working on a drug and going through FDA clearance and so on and so forth, that treats ADHD, what used to be called hyperactivity disorder, or ADD, now called attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And there's only been a few drugs that you could use, but it's basically a stimulant, which doesn't make any sense to the rest of us until you start thinking about the science, because the stimulant is basically would stimulate you, and you think the last thing someone with ADHD needs is stimulation, but apparently it affects the frontal lobe. But you have a time release sort of method here, as we're seeing, where you've got a coating that releases one part of the drug, and then a second part of the drug. And the reason being, Shane, I'll let you talk about it, because that's been the biggest problem with ADHD drugs, is because you got to keep taking them. There's no way to monitor it. Take over on that for a minute for me.
Yeah. So I mean, there's two classes of medications used for ADHD. 90+% uses what's called stimulants. The other part uses non-stimulants. Let's think of non-stimulants as your third or fourth or fifth choice, because that's really what it is. It's you can't tolerate the stimulants. But now back to the stimulant class. They've been used for over 70 years. And the FDA has never rejected a stimulant for the treatment of ADHD. And we're preparing to submit our NDA, which is a new drug application, in just a matter of months. So major inflection point for our company. But when you look back at the treatment history of this, they call them stimulants because if you don't have ADHD, you're going to get stimulated. But if you have ADHD, what it does is it normalizes your brain and puts you in a much better perspective for to deal with your daily activities.
I want to interrupt here. I want to read from this press release because it goes with what you're saying here. Because you are in development of the first true once daily stimulant medication that treats ADHD over an entire day. And what's critical is it doesn't matter what your food intake is or anything else. There's nothing affecting it. This works regardless, or at least that's what the early tests indicate. Correct?
Well, so we did a study a couple years ago with our 25 milligram dose, which is the mid dose. Now 50 is our highest dose. And by the way, it'll be the highest available dosage form anywhere in the world of a methylphenidate-based preparation. So this is a huge clinical and commercial advantage. So it'd be the highest dose that an adult, let's say, that has severe ADHD could actually utilize to cover their entire active day. So we want to get you from home to homework, breakfast to dinner, revelry to taps, your active day. No one has ever done that before. Not only do we accomplish that because we now timed 3 specific doses at the right time of the day in 3 specific ratios. We're not giving you the same dose 3 times because that doesn't make sense. We're giving you the right amount at the right time and in the right style. We pulse when we need to, and we give you a sustained release when that's the more appropriate way to deliver your ADHD meds. And we have 8 dosage strengths across the entire spectrum of the disorder. So for the first time, physicians, providers, nurses, nurse practitioners, PAs, they're going to finally have the ability to give patients with ADHD one tablet, lasts the entire active day, has a lower side effect profile than anything we've seen before in ADHD, and it has an effect size 3 to 4 times greater than the so-called best products that ADHD has been used, that has been treating ADHD patients for the last 50 years. It's truly groundbreaking work.
Shane Schaffer, the chairman and CEO of Cingulate, their ticker symbol, CING, also a Kansas City Chiefs loser, joining us here once again on the Big Big Show.
Raiders,
the best record in football, though.
Yeah, whatever.
When are the Raiders playoff game? I love you.
God, why you gotta
Sorry, Mike.
Raiders?
Sorry, buddy.
He fired back, and I wasn't expecting.
I love it.
Let's get back to the subject at hand, please. Shane, I want to talk about, because I know I've talked to you briefly about my daughter and her being diagnosed with ADHD. So in kids, is it the same? Cingulate can also be used for children, right? Or she's not even a child anymore.
We'll be seeking approval in ages 6 and older.
Okay.
So that's the typical approval. So, if there's a small percentage of patients below the age of 6 that do get treated, that's typically your really severe cases of ADHD. We'll be seeking approval in 6 and older, which is pretty much every product's label on the market.
And then
doctors can always make a decision to use it earlier.
And then you take it in the morning, early morning, I'm assuming, because then it releases throughout the day, right? Just one tablet, as you were saying, the 3 times daily, it's just automatically releasing. And
Go ahead. When you wake up, take it right away. Exactly. When you wake up, take it right away, and it's going to deliver 3 specific doses at time 0, 3 hours later, and 7 hours after you took the tablet. They're giving you a perfect day.
Hey, Shane, I got an email from last time you were on from a guy by the name of Ted Jenkins. I don't know where he's from but he asked a question about whether this is a drug. Is this more about drug delivery or more about medicine or both?
It's a new product, but it is drug delivery. So our PTR platform, Precision Time Release, really, it's a very innovative platform. For the first time in clinicians, and the ability of ADHDs is a tablet giving you the ability to deliver 2, 3, 4, up to 5 of the same or different drugs in one little tablet. Now, what we're doing in ADHD, and that's why we developed this delivery technology, was to make sure we're delivering the right drug at the right time, in the right place, in the right style. We're going to utilize it in insomnia. We're going to utilize it in anxiety. We're going to utilize it in movement disorders, in oral oncology medications, in antivirals. We're going to utilize this drug delivery platform across the board. Right now, we're going to solve the ADHD problem, a $22 billion a year category in the U.S. alone.
He is one of our favorites, the chairman, CEO of Cingulate, their ticker symbol CING. He is Shane Schaffer. Shane, always great, my friend. And in all seriousness, good luck to you and the Chiefs.
Thanks, buddy.
In the NFL playoffs. We'll see you out here in a couple of weeks, pal. All right,
more. Favorite guys.
More at the Big Biz Show after this.